Welcome to the Celebration of You. I'm your host, Holly Dowling. I'm thrilled to share with you incredible people from all over the world who are living and leading extraordinary lives. From overcoming immense adversity to discovering the secret sauce to leading with courage and grace. Their stories are going to bring you hope and inspiration. Now, let the stories begin. Welcome, everybody, to the Celebration of You. And as always, I always like to say, get ready to have another incredible experience with another amazing guest who, again, serendipitous moments, you never know who you're going to meet. And today's guest, I am thrilled to introduce you to because her journey, her path, and her passion are so current in what's going on in our global arena. And before I actually introduce you to this amazing woman, I just want to thank all of my listeners out there. Your messages, the stories you're sharing with me, and the lives that are being impacted around the world. I cannot say thank you enough because this is why this show exists. So we're in 87 countries now, and it's because of each and every one of you. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. So here we go. I get the honor today of introducing you to the brilliant, amazing, and now my new friend because of where she lives, Annette Moore. Hi, Annette.
Hello. How are you? You're welcome to visit anytime, you know.
Shall we leave it hanging as to where you live until the very end?
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, because I didn't realize. I'm like, are you kidding me? You live in my favorite place in the entire United States. And there's a story to that too, my friend.
Yes.
Oh, well, thank you. First of all, thank you for being here. You're an incredibly busy woman. And I mean, I just have to brag on you for a minute. So I just have to tell everybody, it's not often you get to meet a woman who has not only made it her passion, but she has made it her entire life's journey and her career to really be a woman excelling in technology. And she currently is the regional technology operations leader for a very large global professional firm. She's had an opportunity to lead all kinds of teams over the years and really implement incredible strategies. You've been a part of bringing together diversity and inclusion too, which I can't wait to hear more about that. You're passionate about women and especially women in technology. So I could brag on you. You're also involved in, I can't wait to hear more about Step Up, a national nonprofit organization, which I think is probably a lot like Girl Up, which I'm involved in. And then secretly, I just have to say, you graduated from DePaul with your organizational development and women's studies. And I want to hear more about that. So to everybody, this is Annette. Annette, tell us anything more we should know about you other than you're magnificent and brilliant.
You left out my favorite part of what I mentioned, which is I am married to the man of my dreams.
Oh, hold on. He's going to listen to this. Shall we rephrase this?
That's the number one thing is that I'm happy about is I'm now married to the man of my dreams. It's amazing. So there's a story behind that too.
Oh, we're going there. Oh, totally. And I'm just going to have to tell everybody. So I meet Annette, right? And we're doing a big event. You know, we had a great time meeting each other. And I find out she has a daughter, 31, and a son, 24. And I'm like, it's not possible. There is no way you birthed a child that is 31 years old. And you proceeded to say, yeah, I did.
You know what? You get whatever God gives you, you go with it, right? And I got some great gifts, and you know, it just so happens that gift came along very early, and I can now spend a lot of time with her and enjoy her in a different way. So it's wonderful.
Oh, I love that. And they are our miracles, and they are our gifts. And so, you know, I want to hear. So here's two things. Okay, so I'm so excited because I can't wait to hear about the man of your dreams. All right, I'm going to make everybody sit on the edge of their seat waiting for that story because I don't know it. Just give us a little overview of just kind of, you know, the women in technology, and give us an idea of what you're doing and just the journey you've been on and why you're so passionate about this, Annette.
Sure. So this goes back to about almost 20 years ago when I first started where I'm working now. And I will say that technology was not, it was not the journey I expected to be on. But I do believe that, you know, we're given certain gifts and you use them when you get them and they're there for a reason. And so I kind of fell into technology over 20 years ago. And I'm somebody that likes to, I call myself a pioneer, right? I constantly like to try new things. You know, I get bored a little bit easy once I've got that, or if it really doesn't interest me anymore, I'll move on. But this whole notion of women in technology was something that I grabbed onto, like I said, almost 20 years ago, because I kind of felt like I had my career under control. Things were going in the direction I wanted to go in. And I heard about the fact that where I was working, they had this women's initiative movement, but it was really not geared towards the people that were inside the house. So the services people, the people like me that didn't necessarily serve our clients outside, but made sure that our people could serve our clients.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of women in the services area, right? If you think about finance and administrative assistants, there's a large population of women, not a lot in technology, but in those areas there are. And there was no women's initiative for those people in my geography, in my regional area. And so that was really where I started. And I'll tell you what caught me on fire. I heard about an event for Women's Initiative. And again, there was no services one, so I just kind of snuck in. It was one for our client service people. And the woman who was our external board chair at the time, was up on stage speaking. And I had never been to one of these events. I had never met this woman. I had never even heard of her, actually, which is a shame because she's pretty high up there in politics, or was at the time. And there was something that she said that just, I felt like this fire light inside of me catch on fire, and just thought, this is my passion. This is where I can help out. There's so few women in my industry. And it was listening to her and hear her talk about how we needed to work together as women to help each other. And, I can't say everything that she said, but it was very powerful for me. And so from that moment on, I vowed that I was going to do whatever I could to help women, not just in technology, but women in general, help advance themselves. So that was when I started the Women's Initiative in our region. A couple of years later, I actually co-founded with another woman and a gentleman, the Women's Initiative committee or council for all of our technology groups across the country. And that has really taken off and turned more into an inclusion movement. So, that was really kind of where I got started. I will say that I feel like once I kind of got the ball rolling and really got people moving, there was a period in my life where I stepped back from that professionally and stepped into it more in my personal life. And that was really about the time that I got involved in Step Up.
Oh,
and
okay.
Because it became very apparent to me that I can help the women that are at work, and I can continue to do that in some way. I just wasn't leading things anymore. It felt like the balls were in motion and I was letting other people run with them then. But I felt like I really wanted to make a difference were at an earlier age, our young girls who, start to lose their confidence and they don't necessarily go into the STEM areas, right. Including technology. But the biggest piece is a lot of reasons I think women or young girls don't follow their dreams is the lack of confidence. Mm-hmm. And so that's why I decided I wanted to get started in that area and start with the young girls.
And that's what Step Up is. Is that predominantly focused on young girls? Okay.
It's all focused on high school girls, yes.
And really getting them to be exposed to STEM and getting their interest up in all of that in technology? Is that the goal?
It's actually not specific to STEM.
Okay.
It is, it's an organization that focuses on helping to build confidence in the freshmen and sophomores, because that's about the age when girls' confidence really takes a plummet, right? 7th, 8th grade, right? So we work on confidence in freshmen and sophomores, and they have after school programming and they have weekend programming that they do with the girls. And then junior year, they're starting to get them ready for college and helping them fill out all their college applications and helping them, taking them on college visits, helping them understand what they need to do to be prepared for college. And then their senior year, the programming is centered around career and getting them internships and making sure that they understand, and focused on some things that are more career related. And the thing that I think is one of the more powerful statements, for me at least, when I first started in this organization, was that 100% of our girls every year have gotten into the college of their choice. Wow. And have gotten a full ride scholarship. What? And finished school. And yes, it's amazing. Whoa. It's amazing.
Oh my goodness, girl.
And they had two of the girls a couple of years ago get the Gates Scholarship, which is a pretty big deal because that pays for all of your education.
Oh my goodness. And is this a national foundation, or is it
It
just
is a national foundation. It started in LA, and then New York. It took off. Chicago was the third chapter to open, and then in the last couple of years, we've opened in Dallas. I believe they're opening in Atlanta, and there was one other city that they're scoping out right now. And they go into it's inner city schools. So it's actually, I shouldn't say inner city schools. It is schools in areas where they are underserved. So traditionally, that's inner city, but so yeah, it's underserved areas.
Okay, you need to keep me posted. I know we're going off now, but this is what we're all passionate about, because there's people listening that are trying to find ways. You know, if this hits their heart, I always say find a place to serve and give back and commit to something that impacts you personally, right? Something that really matters to you. So if this is like for all the people out there listening, and we'll give them information at the end, but like for me, I'd love to know more about this if there's any chapters in Arizona. So keep me posted, would you?
Will do. Yes, ma'am, I will.
I love it. Well, and you know, that's why I said I'm involved as a partner and ambassador for Girl Up, which is, you know, globally with the United Nations, a foundation really empowering young women. And really what we're doing is really getting into the heart of getting, you know, young girls out of being married off at 11 years old, you know, some horrific stories, you know, and even getting them to be able to go to a school, and the school is a slab cement foundation, but they would have to walk, and it could take them hours, getting them bicycles just to get them there. So we have probably so many conversations. We could have a glass of wine or a bottle in Napa.
Oh, you just let on.
I did. I'm just going to drop the carrot. Here we go. Well, and it's just what makes you so magnificent. And I know when we first started, it's so interesting how we come from such a different lens, because I said to you, I think it's so cutting edge right now, this topic of women in technology. And your comment was so interesting to hear you say that, because I feel like it's been that way since what you said, 1993.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's not as long as I've been in technology, but yeah, I mean, the women's initiative movement started so long ago, and women in technology, I mean, there are a lot of women that get involved and that have technical backgrounds. And, you know, this is going to just be me speaking from what I've seen and read. And it seems as though what typically happens is they either are in the shadows in the background doing some of that work, and there are reasons why they're not in the limelight, and their talents aren't being highlighted, or they get tired of being in the background and kind of move on into something else that they can do. I mean, that's just some of what I have seen and heard. But I know that, well, I was going to kind of tangent a little bit in a different direction that I don't necessarily want to go. But so, yeah, I mean, women have been in this area for a really long time, and there have been women's initiatives for a while. But I believe that as we have, you know, recently with some of the things happening in our society, I think that has just now shown the light in those areas where there has been work for a while, but maybe there's been a distraction. And people weren't aware of the fact that there have been movements in this area.
Well, and I just have to say before we tie out on this, because I think we got to hear, you know, when we were together a couple of weeks ago here, it was an amazing, profound statement. But I think to sum it up is that women traditionally have been sitting around wishing and waiting for somebody to see they're doing good work. We tend to do it right, do really good, right? And keep our nose to the grindstone, and then hope that somebody's going to see it, right? And that, it'll be recognized and somebody's going to come make me an offer. Whereas the difference today is it's about being able to say, this is who I am, and this is how I can be leveraged, and to be able to own our voice without apologizing for it.
Yes.
So, and whether that's technology or any industry, I think that's just something that we're finally at a place where we're understanding, hey, you don't need to ask permission to say, this is who I am and how I can bring it. So I think there's a lot of work that's been done. And to your point, I think we're now at a place in society where, and this is interesting because I was just at an event this last week, and I have to tell you, Annette, what was fascinating is predominantly it was all men CEOs from around the world. There was one woman.
Wow.
And I'm looking at the audience, and I had to say, right, all the studies that are being done, and have we moved the needle? There's 55 of you sitting in this room, and of all 55, there's one that's a woman. And what was interesting, though, is that aside, during conversations with several of these gentlemen, I asked, you're running an organization. And most of these were technology, and you'll love this. I said, so what are you doing to promote women? He goes, you know what's really sad? He goes, we put out a job posting. Okay. We put out a job posting for a position. He goes, and I can honestly tell you, of the 100 candidates, less than 10 are women right now applying for these jobs. He goes, we're trying to figure out, how do we attract more women? We want to, we're not getting them to apply. And I thought, ooh, there's an unlock, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, what are your thoughts? You're thinking
You
something.
know, I think that, again, I think that kind of goes back to confidence, because I can't tell you how many women I've talked to in the last couple of months. And it's really, now that you bring this up, it's amazing to me, who have told me that they're interested in roles. And when we talk about, I said, well, tell me about some of the jobs you're interested in. What I hear from them are, yeah, but I don't have all the qualifications.
Yeah.
And I think, you know what? If I was talking to John about this, he wouldn't be saying I don't have all the qualifications.
Because
That's
really,
just not the way they roll. It's like, I got all the qualifications is what I hear, and it's just, women just don't have, they believe that they have to have it all, and they have to be more than it all to actually, get those jobs.
To feel qualified, to even apply for it. Totally.
Yeah. And I'm totally not exaggerating when I tell you, I turn to my left and I look at my monitor, and I have a sticky note. I have a couple of them stuck up here that always have spoken to me. And one of them says, if you don't ask, the answer is no.
Ooh.
And I try to remember that, because it's really simple, right? It's just really simple. If I don't apply for the job, I'm not going to get it.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple.
It's really simple, but we make it so complicated, and we create a volcano out of an anthill.
Yes. because we're in our head telling ourselves we're not able to do it.
I know.
And, if you could just get out of there and get out of your head sometimes.
Well, you know what? I think we're on a mission, and I have a feeling there's no accident we met a few weeks ago. This is going to we've got a whole new foundation to start, or whatever, a movement we're going to be on, because it's you and I can see it, and we're like, oh my gosh, and HBR did a study on this couple years ago around the job ad. A man sees that he only has 1 or 2 of the 10 things, and they'll apply a woman if she doesn't have 8 out of 10. It's fascinating, all the studies. But okay, I'm dying now. So all right, enough about women and women in the workplace. I want to know about what everybody's dying to know. You got your dream man, and there's a miracle in the story. Take us down the journey.
So, I'm just going to tell you, it's one of those things that you don't know what you don't know. And so I had been married, and I'd been married not once, but twice. And both times it just didn't work out. And so I got 2 beautiful children out of my marriages, and I'm really grateful for that. And I just think that, again, there's no accidents. Everything happens in our life for a reason. So what I decided to do was take a break, right? And figure out, what am I bringing to the party? Because I can't really do anything about the other person, except for, choose somebody differently, right? But I've really got to figure out, if I keep showing up the same way, I'm probably going to keep getting the same thing. Ooh. So what do I need to do different? And so I literally took a break and kind of just inventoried, what I was like in my relationships. And then I put together an ideal list of, this is the way I want to be. And by the way, this is the kind of person I want, because, in the past I wasn't too picky, and I'm not dissing anyone, either one of my husbands. I'm just saying, I chose people for the wrong reasons and looked for the wrong things. And so now I want to be really clear that I was not shortcutting myself, because I deserved what I wanted. And I knew that there was going to be somebody out there like that. So I had a list of what I was looking for, what I wanted to bring to the party. And I honestly put together a plan for how I was going to approach this.
Really?
Instead of doing what I had done. What do we do when we're growing up, right? Is there a plan? Do most people have plans for how how a date should work, and how you should move forward and how you should not move forward? No. So
you're so right. Wait, Annette, this is really, I'm having goosies. You know why? Because we put a plan together for everything else in our life, our careers, our goals, all of this stuff, but we never do it when we think about the dating and I'm kind of flipping out right now. I'm loving this.
So
Okay.
I put together a plan, and I was like, this is the way I want it to look. And my plan, and it was amazing because, so this is why I think this story for me was a miracle, right? So I went onto an online dating website, a popular one, because I didn't know how to find people. Like the ways I had gone to find people years ago, I didn't want to find those people anymore. So I wasn't going to go to those places, right? So that's all I'm going to say. So where do you go, right? And I did things like people were telling me, like joined a running club, and I started doing, this cycling with this club, like to do things with people that do things that you like to do and you'll meet somebody. Well, so I decided to, get into the current century, like all these young people, and jump on a dating site. And I sent a message off to this person that my husband now today, but who was having fun, right? He was in a Hawaiian shirt and it looked like he was doing karaoke. And I thought, well, this guy can't take himself too seriously. So I just sent him a message, and I found out later that the only reason he was on this site was because a friend of his, he was trying to get a friend of his to go on. And the friend said, I'm only going to do it if you sign up too. And he said, okay, I'm going to do the 30-day free trial thing. So he did. And he was on his last day when I sent him that message, and he was going to let it cancel. But when I reached out to him, he decided to keep it up for temporarily to be able to communicate with me. And again, I took the whole thing very seriously. So the first date, I showed up and we were booked. It was totally bookended. Like, I can meet you at noon. I've got to be in my car by 1 because I have a conference call. So it was like, there was no dilly-dallying,
Of course. You're like, oh my God, I'm too snapping your fingers.
Salad, like I am not going to let anything interfere in my head. I want to be on my game. And of course, many months later, I found out, well, you were like totally businesslike when you showed up for that first date. And so I followed my plan, right? And I followed it to a T.
But like, what else was in the plan? Like, give us an idea of what was in the plan.
Okay, so kissing until the fourth date. I wasn't going to allow that to happen until the fourth date. And I'll tell you one of my funniest. This is a funny story that I like to share with people. So it's my third date, and I walked to the restaurant we were gonna meet at, because at that point in my plan, he was not to be at my house. I was not to be at his house. He wasn't to pick me up or anything like that. So I walked there because it was closer to my house. He drove there. He offered to drive me home, and I decided to let it slide. I thought, okay, he can drop me off. It's pretty safe. I live on a busy street. I can trust him and myself. So I get out of the car. I get up to the door. I'm unlocking the door, and I hear Annette. And in a nanosecond in my mind, it's the whirlwind romantic, like he's, I must kiss you. And he's running up to the porch, right? Is what I'm thinking. And I turn around and he said, you forgot your leftovers. Oh my God. Of course I forgot my leftovers. So,
because you were just scammering to get out of there and not be kissed because you didn't want to break your rules.
But then I thought, oh my God, it's going to happen. Whoa. And it didn't, of course, but it was great. He was great. And, so that was an example of like, I stuck to my plan for that. I stuck to my plan for, when we were going to be able to be at each other's house for the first time and meet, him meet my kids, even though my children were really adults at that point. I just wanted to do things completely different than the way I'd done them in the past, because I wanted something different in the end. Right.
Oh, I love this. Yes.
And so, that's how I ended up with the man of my dreams. I mean, he's amazing. And we're together now. It was 9 years in April. We've only been married 2, but we've been together for 9. And every day I wake up and say thank you for this amazing blessing.
I love this story so much. I am just smiling, and I'm just sitting here going, when you said this is the miracle of finding my dream guy, yeah. I get it. Like, and I can hear you just smiling and like right through the phone. And you know what? That's what this day and this moment is about, is there isn't, and I mean for men and women, right? It's having, I love that you said I had a plan and I didn't waver from it. How many times do we not go into this part of our life with a plan, or at least standards and boundaries? You had rules for yourself. It was rules, and this is the way it was going to be. And you didn't waver. Oh my God, but the leftovers. Annette, you forgot your leftovers. I can just see you turning around now that I know you going, oh crap, it was just the leftovers. Okay.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Oh, my friend. Well, I'm assuming then the kids, they love him. He loves them. It's just everything's worked out beautifully.
It has worked out really wonderfully. It's been amazing.
Well, and
But
what were we going to say?
I was just going to say, but to the kind of, I don't know if this is where you were going to go, but to the point of how I ended up moving where I'm moving, I also realized that although I married the man of my dreams, we're very different people. And so I had to learn, just like anything else, just like you make some adjustments with your boss or with, people that you work with you, I had to learn to adjust how I talk about certain things and what I say, because I wanted him to be able to hear me. And, I'm one of those people that, this is a great example. You can say to me, Annette, look at the moon. Isn't it beautiful? I'll look at the moon. I'll think it's beautiful. I will not say anything. I will just say, hey, did you want to take the dog for a walk?
Ooh.
And not realize that he has no idea that I've processed that it's gone through my brain. I just didn't acknowledge it. And I had to learn I must say, yeah, it's great. You want to take the dog for a walk? Or, acknowledge that. And I mean, that's just an example of how I had to learn that I think this way and I act this way, but this person's not in my brain. They're in their brain. So I've got to think about how they think and act and try to accommodate in some way if I want to keep this wonderful relationship. And I'm not saying that I throw myself on the floor. I'm a doormat. I think it's the way of having to have a relationship. You need to communicate with people, and to communicate, I need to understand your language.
And I couldn't have said it any better, because what you said earlier was, I didn't know how to speak my husband's language. And I think it goes both ways, though, to what you just said. It's a mutual, and you both have to want to understand and learn each other's language. I love just the way you articulated language and the essence of our communication. So how does this tie to going to move to my favorite place in the United States? Tell me about the language of this. I might have to use this.
So you remember I said that I'm kind of a pioneer. That's why I call myself, right? I'm a thinker. I like to brainstorm. I am not attached to my ideas. For the visual, I like to say, people, listen, I'm going to start throwing stuff at the wall, and it's just like silly putty. And I'm just going to start throwing ideas out there. If they stick, great. If you grab onto it and develop something, great. My husband, however, went to school to become a programmer.
Oh, really?
That's not what he does today, but he's in IT as well. But he's a programmer that's his thinking pattern, right? Everything is linear. Stories are linear. So, everything's in a certain order. And so to come out here, we had this dream of moving out here. We'd actually already had a house that we had purchased, back in 2012 with the idea that at some point we'll retire to Napa. So we were renting it out, and we had this very small house that we bought with that plan. But I didn't want to wait, because, who wants to wait to move to Napa?
I'm not waiting. You're inspiring me. I have a feeling this is going to be an interesting conversation tonight around our language.
And so I had this big dream in my head, and I could see how we could make it work. I already knew that we could make it work financially. I knew we could make it work from my job perspective. Now I knew that was going to impact his job, and we would have to work through that. But I believed in my heart that it was going to work out. Greg needs the details. He can't see the picture in my brain, and he needs the details. So here's what I did. After a couple of years of being frustrated that we weren't able to move, somebody said that to me. They're like, Annette, you see your dream. He needs the details, and he can't see it. So I gave him the details. But I did it, and this is the way I did it.
A plan.
Exactly. I did a plan. So I had already kept a very simple worksheet that just basically said, here's all of our bills, approximately. I approximated everything. It wasn't like every month I changed, we paid this much for the gas this month, and then this month we changed this. It was like, approximately, here's what we pay every month and everything. Approximately, here's what we bring in every, month. And here's what we would approximately save at the end of each month. That's all I had at that time. So I decided to expand on that and basically call it cash in, cash out savings. And so I kept that worksheet. I added another worksheet to it that said same thing, cash in, cash out savings. And there were different scenarios on that worksheet. One of them was, if we were to move to Napa, move into the house that we currently owned, a smaller house, and then across the top of that was, this is what the situation would look like if Greg had no job. because I knew I was going to be able to keep my job. I could work anywhere. This is what it would look like if Greg got a job consulting. And this is what it would look like if he got a job making the same amount of money if we were to move. And so I kind of created this big workbook that laid out several scenarios of what it might look like if we moved into a bigger house and we sold that smaller house, if we moved into a bigger house and we kept the house and rented it. I had all these possibilities to show him that there were multiple options. And in every way, it ended up that we were in Napa and it worked. Okay.
You are brilliant. Oh my gosh.
And the last worksheet was very simple. And it just said by February of the following year, this was in July of 2015, I was presenting it to him. This is July of 2016. By February of 2017, we would have this much money in savings. And then I did my visual. I did a PowerPoint presentation. And it was very simple.
Wait, you did this for him?
I did it. Yes,
yeah,
but that's not my story.
Okay, wait, I love this. Oh, I know. Okay, hold on. Now the world is going to know.
Him, the PowerPoint presentation was more for me kind of, right, because I'm visual. But also I believe that visual things create a reaction in people.
Oh, totally. It manifests. There's a whole science behind it. I'm a big believer with you.
Yeah. And on every slide, it just said cash in, cash out, savings at the end of the month. And there was a picture representing what that was about. So the first one was current situation, cash in, cash out, savings. And it was a giant picture of the blizzard of 2011, because at the time we were living in Chicago where there were blizzards.
You're going to be hired now to do this for people. You realize this. You've got a whole new calling in front of you.
And then the next slide was, cash in, cash out, savings, and what it would look like. And then a picture of our house that the little house we owned in Napa. And then the next one was cash in, cash out, savings, and a bigger house, right, that I found online that was approximately the price range of what I thought we should get. And then I had a final slide that was just like this amazing, beautiful mansion in Napa overlooking the hills. And like, this is our dream place, right? So I give him the presentation. I give him everything. Actually, I didn't give him everything. I approached him on 4th of July. He was just kind of relaxing. And I said, hey, I just want to let you know, I had all this stuff in my head and it was all up here. And I decided to put it all on paper. And it was really helpful for me to put it on paper because now I can see everything at once. And I'm going to send it to you in case you would find this useful too. I sent it all to him. 3 weeks later, I came back from a business trip and he said, I'd like to talk to you tomorrow when you come home from work about Napa. And I said, okay, that's great. The next day he said, I think we should set a date. I'm thinking February of next year.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
That started the conversation, like what will happen with your job. And guess when we moved? We moved March 27th of the following year.
You were literally almost exactly on target just a month later, but unbelievable. My goodness.
I could admit the fact that I don't talk your language. Let me see if I can put it in your language and see how this works out. And I stopped pushing. I just presented the information and I let him come to me.
Oh, if every human being in a relationship could look at life through this lens, right? Because I'm dying. I'm picturing the PowerPoint. Why have I not done that? Because I'm incredibly visual and I get so excited. And my husband might as well be an engineer. He's very, very detailed like yours, right? Oh my God, I think we just figured out the unlock. I think it started, and it's going to start over a bottle of wine from 1111 that's sitting in my wine cellar right now.
Yes. I'm inspired to check that out now.
Oh, you're going to go. She is the most amazing wine. Look at us. I'm just promoting everybody, but amazing wine. And there's a reason you live there now. You're going to meet Ellie, 1111. But honest to God, Annette, this is an amazing story. This is priceless. And this is what makes life, to me, all about enjoying every minute, right? You're not waiting for somebody to do it for you. You've continued to create the life that you've wanted, and you're now doing it with the man of your dreams, and you're doing it together.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
yep.
Oh, God, I'm just dying right now. I'm loving this whole process. You realize the next time you see me, it's going to be, all right, we're going to sit down and we're going to make a PowerPoint and it's going to be a visual.
Yes.
Well, I can't even, I know that everybody listening is going to love this. And two things as we wrap this up, I have to ask you. You gave so much wisdom, being that I've been married a few times too myself, just like you, and all of the joys and the journeys that we go through in life, which we both come from a common place that God doesn't put us through something that we can't turn around and create something amazing out of. What advice, my friend? So go back to that early 21-year-old, 22-year-old self, and based on what you know today and who you are and just all of life's journeys and all that you've been given and been through, what advice would you give your 21-year-old self?
Oh, man. There's so many things I would tell her. I think really the first thing that pops in my mind is to don't take myself so seriously. I think there have been many times in my life that I did things because I believed I had to. And it was just a point in my life where I felt like that was my only choice. And it was because I was really taking myself and life way too seriously and not considering that it could be much easier than I was making it. So that would be the one thing, is just stop taking everything so seriously and have a little fun. Because I definitely got me really far to be, I was nicknamed Big Boss. I wasn't nicknamed by my friends Big Bossy for a reason years ago. It certainly took me far, but it wasn't until I was able to let go of so many things that I felt like I was holding on to way too tightly because I was taking things way too seriously, that everything felt easier and life felt way better.
So interesting to hear you say that, because I think we as human beings, I'm not even saying it's a gender specific to what I'm going to say, but it's kind of like I got to that place finally, Annette, when you hold on so tightly. And maybe that was through times of being single with kids or whatever, but the control, trying to control everything and what's going to happen tomorrow, right? It's like, and when I say to myself, it's time to pray and get out of my way. And when I let go and you really let go and get in the flow of life, life is really amazing. And things happen that you would never have imagined, right? It's kind of like what you're saying. You kind of let go of the control and obsessing and just let life happen.
Yeah, exactly. I just had a conversation with a woman that I mentor several women. And one of the women I mentor called me this morning. I just had a very similar conversation. And it was, we have no idea the amazing life that is in store for us. All we can see is what's in our mind. And we work so hard to get there. And sometimes it's going against where we really should be. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't continue trying, in certain areas, but I think sometimes we have plans and it's very clear we're fighting against the grain. Yeah,
the river is flowing one way and we're trying to paddle up, right?
Yes. And sometimes the best plan is to just let it go.
Yeah.
And so there's way too many things I could be telling my younger self. Shut up is one of them too.
Oh, stop it. I love it. Well, it's so fascinating because, and you're definitely going to be invited to my next elite retreat. I just wrapped another elite retreat, and it's amazing women like you. And I mean, everybody knows that it's a hand curated, you have to be selected or nominated. And I say that because this weekend, amazing women came together, and the pivotal moments were for a few of these women. It's just what you said. It was like two words that they took away: trust and surrender. And just allow, right? And we're so, for all good reasons, right? With no bad intention, but to let go and truly surrender and trust. It sounds so easy, but to truly do it does take some work. But when you do, you can hear it in Annette's voice, everybody. When you really do, miracles begin to happen. So, yeah. Oh, we could go on forever. I think we should just keep having another show. I think maybe you should start a show. I think that's going to be in your future. And it's going to be called The Plan.
Oh, yeah, right.
Oh, my God.
That's actually really funny because a lot of my friends know that I'm okay as long as I know the plan. Just tell me the plan, and I just need to know the plan.
All right. So I promise you'll know when I'm coming to the wine country, because we come out at least once, if not a couple times a year. I will make sure you know, and you know the plan before I arrive. Okay?
great.
Oh, I can't wait. Well, there will be people, and I just love this, but as if people want to reach out to you, would you prefer they reach out to me to get to you, or would you like to give them any way to contact you? I don't know what works best for you, Annette, if somebody would like to learn more about just you because they're so in awe of you.
They can reach out to me. I can give you my personal email address. That would be fine. I have no problem with that.
All right. Well, we will put that in the blog that's going to go out with this recording. And then that way, if people want to reach out to you and have questions or just let you know how inspired they were, we would love that.
That would be great.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for inviting me. I was just so honored. Thank you.
Well, I'm just so excited. And now that I know all these other extra goody stories, I'm floating right now. So get ready because I'm going to send you an email tonight after I have dinner and wine with my husband and we have a new chat about language and plans.
You don't tell them about that. You got to just start speaking the language and watch the miracle happen.
All right. I'm going to take your advice. All right. Here we go. Okay.
All right.
All right. Have a wonderful rest of the day and have a fabulous weekend.
Thank you. You too. Take care.
Okay, bye. Thank you for joining me for another awesome celebration of you. If you were inspired by this story, please share it with your family and friends and hashtag Your Story Matters. I'd love to hear from you, so please leave a comment on iTunes. And absolutely, please come to my website, hollydowling.com. Leave a comment there too, and while you're there, pick up your free gift. Most importantly, though, just remember that your life is a gift from God. What you do with it is your gift back.